So what do we got here? Oh yeah, it comes with a stand. Ooh. I'm just complaining. Thank you for listening. Cool. Cool to see the thumbnails progressing and improving as well. This is gonna be the final video of my finishing chapter 3 series. This is the cover for chapter 3. In my previous vlog, I went over how I drew the last pages of chapter 3, so for this one it's gonna be wrapping things up. I need to edit those drawn pages on Clip Studio Paint and then just do like an overview to really make sure that chapter 3 looks good. I promise this vlog isn't going to be as long as the last one. Last vlog was definitely like a mega vlog. I really didn't know when to turn off the camera. I'm about halfway done editing those last pages of chapter 3, but I encountered a hiccup on the road. The tablet that I usually use to draw digitally on, this thing, it's a 13-inch HD Cintiq. I bought this like more than that. I think I bought this like 9 years ago. It's old and it's been working perfectly fine until now. I've been getting weird interference on the screen, which tells me that the cable itself is not doing so good. And then I had drama with the actual pen. It's broken now. Tutu, you really want to bite that button? We're not gonna have him destroy more things. Scooch over here. I could let him just chew on a button, but we're gonna be classy here. Anyways, the pen broke. The little clicker thing doesn't work. The grip is ripped. It's just, you know, kind of janky now. I reached my last straw last week. I've had it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I really need to just bite the bullet and buy a new art tablet and just get it over with. That's where I'm starting this vlog is I got the new tablet in the mail. I've always been a Wacom girly. For my entire art career, that's been the company that I use. But checking the price for just a 13-inch Cintiq, holy moly, yeah. Instead I got a slightly more affordable version, and it's the Huion Kamvas. But I got the 2.5K resolution, so at least I got that part a little bit in the splurging. So yeah, let's unbox this. I'm not a photorealistic concept art kind of digital artist, so I knew that I didn't really need to splurge on like the best of the best art tablet out there in the market. That's why I was considering either XP Pen or Huion, and from all of the reviews that I read, XP Pen really is like the most of the budget friendly of art tablets, and Huion is right in the middle. Wow, all right. And there we go. What's wrong, kitty? Wanna sit up here? It's pretty nice. I really love that matte finish. Since I'm so used to drawing on paper, this texture is really what I love about art tablets. The iPad, even though I have the paper-like cover on it, it's still not textured enough for my liking. And so what do we got here? Oh yeah, it comes with a stand. That's right. Ooh, it's an aluminum stand. That's actually really nice instead of just a plastic flimsy stand. Wow. Wow, it's really light. I can barely feel it. We got a glovey. USB-C. I'm gonna have to figure out how this thing connected. So Huion prefers to do a donut-shaped holder compared to the Wacom one. I prefer Wacom. It's so much more satisfying. Just spent a solid hour trying to connect this damn tablet. Updated my computer because apparently it needed an update. And then this freaking thing just would not connect. I have a history of drivers never quite working smoothly for years. Drivers just give me issues. I still don't even understand what a driver is. Like, why can't things just work when you plug them in? don't really get that. It seems like you have to connect this thing in a very specific way. So I don't know if that's going to work forever. Like, this outlet is very sensitive. There's definitely things I'll have to improve on. Look at this mess just from trying to troubleshoot. It finally works. I'm fixing the pen pressure. I usually like a pretty light pressure because I also don't want to kill my wrist and hands in 10 years. Not too bad. There's a tiny bit of a lag. A few reviews said that if you're used to a Wacom tablet, this might bother you, the little bit of lag. I might get used to it. I'm obsessed with the texture though. This matte texture feels really nice. Like, just like paper. I love that the pen is also light. This is really nice, you guys. And I forgot to mention, the one caveat is that the interface is tiny. That's because the ratio is different than the monitor, or I think even like the Mac system. I tried to look how to increase the interface size. So in Windows you can, but because this is a Mac, there's no option to increase the size. So look how tiny this is. Boop! Like, you really gotta look in there to make adjustments on the numbers. Look at that. It's so easy to mess them up. So that's the only complaint, but I guess it does save me space. It's not a deal breaker. It's honestly not that bad. Hi, kitty. I think the saga is over. I think my workflow is back to normal. Alright, what that actual point in my work is, this is the 32nd page, I think. Yesterday I edited these two panels. On my lunch break I edited these two. And while I was updating my computer and installing this driver, I edited this one. So I'm gonna work on this one. It's a night scene, so I've been trying to play around with the cross-hatching and trying to figure out how much of the value play I want to put in there. But yeah, that's the last panel. I definitely want to finish another page today. We'll get there. You're a good boy. You're a good girl. You're a good boy. You're a good girl. I got everybody on me, huh? That page is done. On to the next. Oh boy. Well, it's 7 o'clock, so I need to get ready to make dinner, work out, and pretty much go to bed because I got day job tomorrow. And this is what she looks like now, though. It looks nice. After working with it for a few hours, I'm pretty happy with it. So I guess I will see you tomorrow. Hello. In the last vlog, I talked about picking up Hilde again. I had initially DNF'd it a few chapters in. I could not get into it. It was kind of boring and a little bit of a difficult read. So this was my second attempt. What a success that was. I gave it 5 stars because it was really beautifully written, super well researched, and very entertaining in terms of the politics, how the author managed to tie up all of these different relationships that tied to the main character, like her relationship with her mom, her relationship with some of her friends, with the king. And the king was always like a nervous interaction of what is he going to do now and how is she going to outwit him in every scary situation. It was always very tense to be in the room with him for Hilde. So that was always exciting to read. The research, you can totally tell that Nicola Griffith did her research on the time period. Hi, this is Editing Jasmine. I need to work on how I do these reading reviews. They're not very coherent once I'm in bed. What I'd like to add about the research is that you can tell it was researched well, not just because the names and the map. It's consider the Dark Ages because we really don't know that much about that time period. When the Romans left England, writing, documenting, all of that was lost with them. So there's a couple hundred years in English history that we really don't know what happened and how these people lived. And considering that the story is hard to imagine it being entirely accurate, there's really only so much research you can do to portray this world. So kudos to Nicola for really getting to know the old ways of how to butter milk, how to create cloth, how to cook herbs for medicine, foraging. All those little tidbits are written in delicious detail in the novel, and they're woven into Hilde's day-to-day life with other women who are running these towns, basically. It was really cool to read some of the research behind on what that actually entailed. And it is a little hard to imagine how these people lived, the Anglo-Saxons, the British, the Picts, all these different groups cohabiting inside the island of England, Wales, Scotland. Extremely challenging task. I wanted to explain a little bit more as to why I wanted to give this novel 5 stars simply for the research. What I ended up liking about this book was that you get into a rhythm of her travels with the king. Hilde, as a child and as a teenager, is constantly traveling. We start seeing familiar faces and familiar locations. That's when I really liked this, because I would pick it up and you be transported into 600 AD England. Wow, my battery just died. That was really rude. So now that I finished this book, I realized there is a sequel. I don't have a physical copy. I have it on Kindle. Here's the cover for it. The first book was published in 2013. This one, 10 years later. So whoever was reading the first book when it first came out, I feel so bad for them. That's what I'm reading now. It starts almost right off from where the first one ended, and I honestly have no idea where it's going. I don't want to give you too many spoilers, but we are continuing the political instability, having to outwit this king who is getting more and more cornered by other invading kings. Honestly, to me, I find ironic that there is this human need for peace and calm and stability, and yet are so many instances where we create societies that need war to happen in order to keep the peace amongst the people. For example, the warrior class, if they don't have war, they're just like bored, causing mayhem in their own halls. They get drunk, they're useless, they get depressed or angry. You need to give them things to fight, a purpose. So I find it always interesting as a reader where you're like wanting these kingdoms to be at peace, but at the same time it's like, well, these men need a purpose. We should go to war. So that's where I'm at in this sequel. Very curious where this is gonna go. I have no idea. I'm signing off. Good night. I'm about to go to work, but I had to show you this sunrise. This is crazy. Back from day job, and I'm making tortilla soup. We'll check in on her in about 2 or 3 hours. Let's get back to work. So this scene is part of a big flashback that we're going to be going back to throughout the story. What that means for me in the comic is that the textures that I used in chapter 2, I have to make sure that I'm still using them in the flashback in this new chapter. So consistency is super important. That's why if you're making comics, you gotta make sure you're organized. In this page, I'm pulling the texture on Alice's cloak and applying it to the new page. It's really just a noise texture that I've turned into a tone. Nothing fancy. I try to stay away from using too many different types of textures and tones because I want this story to look simplistic enough. Once I start making it super complicated, I don't know, I might feel like it's over my head. So I do want to keep it simple with just a few textures throughout the story. If you're wondering how to use textures, I do show in my other vlogs how I use the textures, apply them, turn them into tones if they're not already turned into tones through the Clip Studio Paint library. But for now, we're just going to breeze through different editings that I do. It's really nothing fancy.
The other thing I'm focusing on this page is how to balance darkness with lighter values, because it's set at night and we're outside in the courtyard of this castle. I have to figure out how to make these characters the focal point in every panel while also showing that this is nighttime during the winter. Keyword winter because the ground is actually snow. These are all new things that I have never really drawn or played around, so making this comic has always felt somewhat experimental and new. Now, did I achieve conveying that setting? I'm not sure. Maybe in like 6 months I'll allow myself to reread all this and then probably realize that there's lots of room for improvement, but that's just me. I'm my worst critic.
It's already 5 o'clock. How does time fly like that? I only have 2 pages left to edit. We're almost there.
Tackling a new page to edit means I'm going to be adjusting the darkness of the line art because these are drawn in pencil, so immediately upon scanning I have to darken them to look black. The next step would be to clean them up because there's going to be eraser marks and little faint lines that shouldn't be there. So that's what I focus on for the first 25% of my time looking at a page. Once I think the line art is cleaned enough, and I say that because I still want it to look pretty doodly. I'm not trying to make it look like a inked comic. It's its own thing, just a reminder that if you see little marks here and there, I'm genuinely not trying to make this look inked. The next step would be to add more cross-hatching to add values to each panel. This is the part where I'm still learning, because it is a balancing act of not adding too many cross-hatchings and darkening the areas. But if you're too scared to attack an image, then it's gonna look a little bland or kind of amateur. Like you will be able to tell that the artist was being a little shy with the values. And I'm speaking for myself here. So this page was fun to do because it takes place at nighttime again, even though it's no longer a flashback. Alice is on one of the castle walls coming out to practice. How do we convey that it's nighttime while also still clearly showing that she's doing something important? And also the little bits of light sources tossed around, like the little light on top of the door. And so that is a challenge, and it's an art form, for sure. I had moved on to the next page, but something about having a flat toned panel didn't feel dynamic enough, especially considering the emotional gravity of this scene, so I went back and added highlights as if there was a full moon going on, and I think that makes these panels a little bit more lively. This is the tortilla soup I made the other day. Kind of looks medieval. Today is Friday, the last day of January, and I just got back from day job. I'm officially done editing all the pages of chapter 3. This is all of chapter 3, and so what I need to finish still is the bonus page and the illustration to conclude the chapter. Today I want to draw the illustration, and I have a few ideas of what the bonus page will be, but I feel like I'm gonna end up tackling it last. What I plan to draw is a thumbnail of what I originally thought was going to be the cover for chapter 3, and I explained in the vlog where I made the cover why I ended up not doing this. It'll be nice to still get to do it, so it won't be a total waste. That's what I'm gonna put at the end of chapter 3. I really hope I got this angle right. I've redrawn it a bunch of times. Maybe you're seeing mistakes, but right now I'm not really seeing anything to work on. It looks solid to me, but I'll probably regret this by tomorrow.
I'm also really tired, even though it's 6:30, but like day job was long and I have to do it all over again tomorrow. It's like I want this to be done, but once I'm actually sitting here, I don't have the energy to work on it. I'm just complaining. Thank you for listening. One last thing to mention, I'm definitely procrastinating because I know that whatever I decide on is probably gonna be wrong. So it's like I'm avoiding drawing the face, I'm avoiding drawing the elbows. Elbows and face, they really ground a piece. Whatever I decide on, I have a feeling I'm gonna be like 85% probability that it's gonna be wrong. So I really don't have the motivation to be wrong, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just gotta get this over with. Did I really think I was just gonna settle for that? No way. Here's a little 3D art pose. I'm going to use that as a reference. Like, if I'm that nervous, I just gotta get a reference. Erasing for the 50th time. Luckily, this paper is so good that it can handle all this erasing. This looks like shit. How am I gonna make this look good? It's 7 o'clock. I really should just give up. Here's the drawing scanned and ready to be colored on Clip Studio Paint. I've got my second half of coffee ready. And the other cool thing about this new Huion tablet, one of the reasons why I chose to go for this one, is because it converts from a pen display where you can see the screen onto a drawing tablet. So I would be looking up there. This setup is so much better ergonomically for your neck. Your head stays up and that doesn't put strain on your neck. I just converted it. It looks really sleek, flat on the desk. I showered after my run and the gods of time have been very kind. It's only 11:44 in the morning, so I have all day to draw this illustration, which I think is gonna take quite a while. But I've got my coffee and post-breakfast snack dessert, and I'm ready to go. I could have made a whole vlog covering how I made this illustration, but at this point in the project, I was on a mission to finish this chapter by February. So I'll show you briefly how I colored this. Once I scanned the drawing, I adjusted the levels of the line art. Now, because this isn't a stark black and white comic, I do want to vary the line art's values and really preserve the fact that it looks like pencil, but I still want it to come out from the colors because once I add tons of colors, the line art and the colors are going to be competing for attention. Once I'm happy with darkening the line art, then it's a matter of cleaning it up and fixing any anatomical errors. I was having trouble with the placement of the elbow. Well, I'm still fixing it in the digital phase. Once I added a texture with a hint of a brown hue, I masked out the major shapes in the piece. That way you don't have to be erasing the edges once you're coloring something. Putting the mask down, it is annoying and it feels like you're wasting your time, but it helps save time in the long run. And once the masks are put on with those hideous colors, now we get to have fun with
actual coloring. Now there's not much to say with how I color. I literally just slap on watercolor style layers of color and see what happens with that. I did spend a long time on the ground. I'm just a details girly. So yes, I am going to color every single leaf and paint in tons of grass. The idea behind this piece was that Alice was taking a quick break while training. That's why she looks all bruised up and dirty, and she's lying on the ground of the training field. In this chapter, she is feeling very unsure of herself and unsure of whether she really will be able to wield the sword. So lying on the grass here is not supposed to elicit feelings of being relaxed. It's just a moment for Alice to rest and think about her problems. Did this piece take me a long time to color? Yes. Do I want to check and see how long? No, I'm not gonna do that. What matters is that it's done. Now that I'm done with all of the pages, what's left is to do a final pass. That revision is going to include looking over the artwork, making sure the expressions match the dialogue, making sure I didn't miss any spots for the tones, and then also to update the text because I made 2 little changes to the font. So now I have to edit the fonts of all of these pages. In order to keep track of all those edits, I'm going to write down all of those passes. This will not only help me stay motivated to get through the sludge of revision, but it will also help me not lose track of my progress. Because I don't want to be doing double the work. If I've already edited one page, I don't want to end up accidentally going back and redoing it. And so with page 1, this is page 1, I will start the edits. Okay, so I just finished editing that. These are the main 3 things that I need to revise. I scratched them out for page 1. And I'm going to be doing the same thing for all of these pages until I get to 34. Once I finish this big revision, I will be done. Look at that medieval building. Cool. I'm excited to open these up. Alright, so I'm finally able to make these thank you packets. Editing Jasmine here. I realized I never explained what these prints to patrons were for. I had mentioned in previous vlogs that at the end of making chapter 3, I would send out some cute merch to all of my fan tier patrons. It's actually one of the benefits of being a fan. So these are the things that I'll be sending out to them. It's my way of saying thank you since their support went directly into making chapter 3. So I'd like to be doing that for every chapter. So this is just a refresher of what these things are. It's now that I realize that the print that I wanted to give away, the other side is printed upside down. I double checked my order and it's definitely supposed to print the right way. So I'm going to have to contact customer service, get them reprinted. But in the meantime, I don't want my fan patrons to wait any longer. So I'm gonna send this out anyways, even though they're upside down. I envision this to be a print. So if people are gonna hang this up or use as artwork, the backside really doesn't matter. That's why I'm still gonna send it out. Here's my pile. I'm gonna send them the print and the bookmark and the new business card. So this is the bookmark. Came out really nice. And I'll be adding an updated business card. I usually always send one of these in all of my orders. I changed the back of it to just include my Instagram and Patreon link with the synopsis. I actually use these in my day-to-day when people ask me what I do and what's the comic that I'm working on. I give them one of these. So I'm going to write a little thank you message on all of them.
and have them ready to be sent out this Friday. Today is Wednesday. I have to work tomorrow, so I won't make it in time to the post office, but I'll be free Friday, so I'll send these out in the morning. I'm super excited. And so with those sent out, that marks the conclusion of chapter 3. Before I end this vlog, I'd like to show you the final stats, simply because I like to see when comic artists share that pile of pages from their graphic novel or even just from a chapter. I want to see what came about from that period. I figured I would share chapter 3's pile with you. Alright, so we'll start with the actual pile of comic pages. In chapter 3, we have a total of 34 comic pages and 3 illustrated pages. Those would be the back illustration and the main cover with the interior cover. And then these are the actual comic pages. All that work that spanned about a year, right here. This is a reminder that this took a whole year to draw, not because that is my drawing pace. I had to work on the pitch for this comic with an agent, so there were other things I needed to work on as well. That is why this took a year. Ideally, I think it should take me about 3 to 4 months to be able to draw a full chapter of about 35 pages. So just so you know, that took a year, but that's not normal. From this pile, we also have the script. This is the script that I used to draw that. And what I did in the front cover of the script, list all the scenes that are included in chapter 3, and then I would knock them every time I drew them. It's cool to keep the script because it is still a organism that is changing while I'm using it as a reference. By the way, that's Clyde biting it. Yep, Clyde. Some of these changes are done while I'm either thumbnailing or straight up just editing the pages when they're already drawn. So changes are still being made until the very last moment, as you know from earlier in this video. So that's the script. And the last thing that I used to create chapter 3 was my thumbnail book. This is where I keep all of the thumbnails. For chapter 3 specifically, we have this amount in my notebook. Here I was using it as a tracker, and then I made another tracker somewhere else, so I stopped using it for that. But these were the thumbnails. As you can tell, they were very messy at the beginning. I was still trying to figure out my system for thumbnailing. I hadn't yet incorporated this little notebook of trash sketching to do outside of the notebook. So I was still doing it on the margins, rather inefficiently. So now my thumbnails look more like this. Much cleaner because I'm dumping all of the initial sketches in here. So it's cool to see the thumbnails progressing and improving as well. If you recall, some of this stuff I vlogged, so I'm not even going to bother explaining. And then here are the undersketches for the entire chapter as well. Every comic page has its own undersketch. I keep those two just for funsies. But it's quite a pile of paper. What I'll be doing is storing the script with the undersketches all together, and the folder that contains all of the comic pages. Chapter 3 will finally be put in here. So here we'll put chapter 3 now. Wow, this is actually the current pile of comic pages. It's growing. So there we go. Finally, this marks the end of the series. If you have watched every video on this playlist, wow, you deserve a reward. I can't believe we're done. Oh my god, we're done, Clyde. but just this chapter. We're already working on the next one. Now that that's done, what's next? What am I gonna be doing now? Well, I'll be doing the next chapter. Chapter 4. In fact, I've already started to thumbnail. It was a rough start getting those first 2 pages paneled out, but I've found my rhythm again. I'm really excited to continue the story and watching myself improve and really seeing all these characters and the plot flesh out more. It's really exciting stuff, you guys. It's also really cool that you get to witness it with me. And to those who have left me really lovely comments, I can't express how much I appreciate thoughtful, like, wow, I can't even put words to it. That it feels very nice for you to see me and to feel seen by you. Making comics is extremely isolating for the most part. That's partly why I've been documenting this journey, so that we can all be in this together. You don't feel alone if you are also making comics. I want you to see that this process everybody kind of shares. It's a really nice reciprocal thing when we're all seen by each other. It's fascinating and it just feels damn good. So thank you again to everyone who have left very nice comments. I appreciate them so much. And to those who are subscribed and who like all my videos, truly, thank you. I do this, but then I've seen people do, like, what's the other one? I feel like Gen Zers do it differently than us millennials, because oh my god, what was I doing before? And with all of that said, we will move forward to chapter 4 now. I've been posting updates on my Patreon. Make sure you check it out. It's only $1 a month if you're interested in following along, but I'll still be making more videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!